All right, everybody, welcome to episode the much anticipated. We got a lot of love for episode number 1, so here's episode number 2. So we've survived. Yes, and of course we are here with the lovely Michele Rundgren. And before we do some rapid fire Toddstock questions, I have 2 questions in my brain, and I'm gonna let you choose which to answer this time, and then we'll tease the next one, and then when we end today, we'll go to the Prince story because we teased that last week. And so my 2 questions are: one is gonna have to do with how did you convince Todd to get married on his birthday, and if that was your idea or his idea, and how did he propose to you? The other one is going to be what the heck happened to Foamy when it was originally lost? Because we know how Foamy came back, but we never really knew how it was misplaced in the first place. So which one do you want to tackle this week? And
I'm going to actually answer them both because one's a Toddstock thing.
Okay,
so
all right.
Paul Frula, is our tour manager on tour with Todd all the time. He is going to do a storytelling night, the very first night at Toddstock. And he will tell the adventures or misadventures of Foamy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's going to happen on the first night because I don't know the whole story. And I told him I want to hear it, at Toddstock, with the little fire in the background and hear the ocean waves crashing as he tells the story in the dark.
It was such a mystery. Like when, it just sort of disappeared one day and then he shows up with the other guitar. And all us fans were all like, and there's all these theories and all this other stuff, but we never actually got the true story. But have you ever? And
I'm going to hear it when everybody else hears it.
Well, now we definitely have to make sure that there's some kind of live stream because I got to hear that one too. I'm dying to hear that one. So the proposal and the decision, because here it is. It's like Toddstock. Everyone's like, oh, Todd's birthday, and I think people forget a little bit. That's also your anniversary.
Well, we've been together for a really long time. I think Rebop was 4, and like every couple, we were busted broke when we moved to Kauai, and that's really a strain on a relationship. So our relationship was not in that great a shape, just like everybody else. You've got your ups and downs, and that was a real downtime for us. And so he came to me, I think it was 2 weeks before his birthday. He flew home and he said, I want to do something I've never done before, something that scares me to death. On my 50th birthday, I'd like to ask if you would marry me on my birthday. Something I've never done. I was better than that, though. It was like, I want to do something on my 50th birthday that I've never done before that scares me to death. That was it. Would you marry me?
Wow.
Like, what? So put the wedding together in 2 weeks. It was fun.
That's beautiful.
And he also said, if I don't make you the happiest you've ever been in your life, then you can walk away with everything.
Wow.
And I was thinking, that's pretty hard I've been a trapeze artist, pretty hard to beat that one.
Oh, man. That's a great story. That really is. I said to her, because she's my second wife, and I remember we'd had some rocky times before we got married, and I said to her, I'm going to make you the most secure woman on earth. And I've lived up to that. I'm very faithful. I adore her. And my wedding ring gets tattooed as well. And
cool.
So yeah, did you exchange rings and you got the tattoo later? How did that all come about?
We got my ring later in New Orleans. It's an antique ring, like my grandma's. And but I'm deathly afraid of needles. So that's the only thing I'm afraid of is needles. Oh, and drowning. Yes, that's right. Needles are terrible.
I know. Yes. The dogs are totally agreeing. We've figured at some point they were going to make an appearance, and here they are. So let me mute for a second and yell.
I love dogs. We've got 6 of them in the house.
Yeah. So that people will love them, hopefully. And if you're complaining about dogs, well, sorry.
So he got my name tattooed on his ring finger. He designed it And I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's pretty wobbly because he doesn't like needles either. And so we had a tattoo artist at the wedding that anybody that wanted to could go into the tent and get a small tattoo. So he got his finger tattooed with my name, and he's drinking gin and wobbling all over the place. So it's kind of like
oh goodness. Yeah, I didn't get my wife's name tattooed on the wedding band, but when I've done stand-up comedy bits where I've said that she gets the wedding ring and the divorce. So some people get that joke and some people don't. Oh my God. That's a funny story. Yeah, and it's interesting you talk about, and I wanted to share this at some point on the podcast. We'll do this right before we get to the rapid fire. Speaking of my wife, we were going through a really difficult time. We were, basically on food stamps and struggling because we had worked for a company called Washington Mutual, kind of screwed us over, and you guys had a bad experience with them as well. But my wife, there was an artist coming to town, and I didn't have the money to buy the tickets. I had to wait for my paycheck, and I got the paycheck, and the show was sold out, so I couldn't get tickets to the show. My wife emailed the artist's wife, and she emailed back and said, I don't do this, and don't tell anybody. And I haven't told anybody for a long time, but hopefully I can. That was you. You got tickets for that show, and I will never, ever, ever forget it. Because and I think it makes sense after I've read some of the stuff that you understood what it was like to just kind of struggle and have somebody just throw you something that meant a lot to you. And that was a very beautiful moment in our relationship, my wife and mine. And for the life of me, I don't know if I've ever had the chance to thank you for that, but it was I know my wife thanked you when we finally got to meet you, but that was a beautiful moment. So
yay.
There you go. Todd fan community. This is why we stick together. All right. So let's fire it away. This is all the stuff that I could figure out. There was like 128 comments. My ADHD was going crazy. As a teacher, I tried to distill it down. So, disclaimer, if I didn't ask your question, it doesn't mean that I was ignoring you or I don't like you or that I don't love you or all that kind of stuff. It's just people forget, right?
Be nice to me. Yeah.
Be nice to me. Oh,
very perfect.
Okay, so the big one it seems to be coming up is there a specific schedule or theme nights so people know what to wear?
Yes, and that's coming out this week. So we picked our theme nights based on suggestions flying all over the place. And yes, I don't have it right here. Otherwise, I would read it right here. Sorry, Tom.
Oh, no worries. It's coming. As long as I know it's coming, we got some time.
It's a coming.
It's a coming.
I hear that train a coming.
A related question. People want to know what to pack. Now, I know we talked. The sunscreen is. I assume you're handling the sunscreen and potentially the other stuff. But
I'm
what
trying
should
to
they
handle
bring?
sunscreen. If I can't procure it, and that much, then I'll tell everybody what to get. But yeah, reef safe. If you're an early packer, reef safe. And I've put in a call to Avon Corporate. I need 200 bottles of Skin So Soft. So, because that's a perfect bug repellent. And, we all run around smelling like our grandma.
Absolutely. We're going to have, it can be grandma stock for a day,
Yeah.
Alcohol consumers want to know, can you prepay for alcohol or is it a cash bar?
It is. Well, I was going to surprise everybody, but I guess I'll surprise them on your show. I'm going to not going to charge for alcohol. And for those who don't drink alcohol, I'm going to have a couple of big, huge containers of a mocktail. So I'm flying in, just like I do for my restaurant, organic fresh squeezed juices from the island. So there'll be like a pineapple mixture, a pog mixture, a couple different things that people can choose.
So will there be a remote option for free alcohol? Like, people in New York.
So how long a straw can you get, Tom?
Okay, I'll work on that.
Put those little plastic ones together.
We need 200 bottles of Skin So Soft, some good, maybe metal straws, so they're environmentally and that are going to go from Hawaii to New York.
But because my liquor license is on the line, we're going to have to find a way that either to get tickets or a bracelet or something that gets marked. It's probably going to be a 5-drink limit just in case the liquor department comes. Those are my rules. If there's some of us that don't drink 5 drinks, so we could, share our tickets or a bracelet or whatever I come up with. I just have to show the liquor department that I'm trying to be responsible.
In all seriousness, and I'm wondering your thoughts on this. I know I've got a background in the bartending and stuff like that. I'm not by any means an alcohol consumption expert, but is there maybe a difference in terms of somebody that comes from a different part of the country and then they're in the sunlight all day when it comes to alcohol consumption? So maybe,
Yes.
I mean, it's common sense to say don't overindulge, but there may be a situation because like I know when I went to Denver once, the velocity, with the thin air, I got drunk on 2 drinks where, I could probably be fine in New York. Is it something similar with Hawaii or?
Especially with the sun and being dehydrated, people tend to drink faster and get drunk quicker. So we're going to, if somebody can if everybody has like their own container, that would be great. I got water towers with food grade hoses and a filter on it. So we'll be, you can fill up your empty bottles with water, lots and lots of water. That's so important for everybody to in fact, we should check on each other. How many, things of water, how many flagons of water you had today?
Yeah.
Make
sure you're staying hydrated. Yeah. No,
yeah.
but all kidding aside, that is important that people are looking out for each other. And I know like my sister, she always recommends that liquid IV. It's in a little packet, but just stuff that you stay hydrated. You don't want to miss out on a great event because you didn't know, you're in the heat and all of a sudden you drink three drinks and then you're out.
Right. Hey, and while we brought up booze, we had a question that kind of came to me about like, hey, are there any NA meetings nearby? So we've decided to have NA meetings every day on site. And our contractor, Lenny, is such an amazing guy. He's also a really dear friend. After he built the house, I still love him and like him. And I like the house. And he's going to lead those. He's actually led them not just in Hawaii, but kind of all over the place. So
yeah, that's
and
fantastic.
I think everybody really like Lenny. So there'll be meetings for anybody that wants to share or just listen.
Yeah, there's some prominent members. I'm not going to name them, but we know who they are that are in recovery and just wonderful people. And you know what? They've been around our parties where we've all been drinking and never been judgmental. But it's nice that we are able to set aside an area for them to feel comfortable and maybe away from it. I can imagine that would be difficult.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to join up but not not drink, then that's why I've got the mocktails. I want them to be really, really nice, well balanced.
We got a follow-up question. Since we're growing alcohol, we shifted somebody and they actually used the term weed. They're like, what is the weed smoking policy? So
it's legal. It's legal in Hawaii.
So in terms of is there going to be an area that's set aside, or is it just use some common sense as far as where you're consuming it?
I think that'll be for our next interview. I'm going to mark that down as something I ask the place where we're going. I almost said the name, but the only reason I don't say the name of where we're going is because they are hundreds of acres and like 5 people work there. But those 5 people have other jobs too. So they can't handle the volume of questions and calls. So that's why I'll relay anything. This is great that people are asking you questions. So I'm going to ask about, it's so beautiful that, I don't smoke pot but it's so beautiful there. I can see how people would want to like wander off and just get stoned and stare at the mountains.
No, I don't either. I haven't I don't even remember. It's been a long time, but it kind of goes back to the whole thing with the NA and the recovery. I don't mind hanging around people that are indulging in marijuana, God bless you. But if there was an opportunity to be somewhere where there wasn't, maybe I'd take that up if I had the opportunity. So
there's a couple hundred acres. We could probably find a place for both.
Yeah, that's awesome. So here was an interesting one. Do you need to take off your shoes when entering yours and Todd's house? Absolutely.
Every house in Hawaii. In fact,
somebody said, I think that was somebody might have answered it before. It said that like there's is it like a custom or is it a rule?
It's a custom. Yeah. Well, Hawaii was built not just by the Hawaiians, but many, many Asian cultures came to work the sugarcane fields. So it just kind of, and how the Hawaiian culture is barefoot. So, especially in grade schools, nobody wears shoes in the classrooms.
Wow.
I don't know. I think when the kids were going to schools, junior high was the same thing. And I have to ask Rex, hey, Rex, did you wear shoes at mid-pack? In the classroom? Ah, yeah. But when Rex got to high school, they had to wear shoes in the classroom. Okay. You can't wear shoes in the classroom in grade school, but
wow,
yeah, it's just, and it's actually a great custom. I think it's, keeps the house cleaner.
That's a learn something new every day thing for me. I mean, that's really interesting for sure.
Yeah. So if you go to any school, or I mean, stores, you can wear your shoes in stores. But yeah, any school you look and there's all these little slippers. Sandals are called slippas here. Slippers or slippas, like AHS. So yeah, there are all these little slippas outside. So yep, our house too.
People should probably then plan. I mean, footwear is another thing. I mean, I know by the time, June, most of the country is going to be warm weather, but you're probably going to want to make sure, going back to the packing question, make sure that you're packing some shoes that you're comfortable with and can slip off, right?
Right. But also, if you decide to go hiking anywhere, then make sure you've got the right footwear. You can't wear slippers to go hiking. Also, I would, this is a good time to tell people that the island's much different after COVID. It's a lot of things you can't do unless you get a permit. Like we used to be, when Todd did his hike at the end of the island, everybody just drove to the end of the island, got out of the cars and started hiking. That's now only for locals unless you make a reservation to park at the end of the road, which is KAKE apostrophe E. If you're looking on a map and you want to go hiking, that's the Nepali Trail. You need a reservation and a parking permit.
And I did have a question. Someone messaged me off the radar because I guess evidently they didn't want to probably start a controversy because, COVID's still a hot button issue with people. Anything in terms of COVID protocols, or are you just expecting people to use some common sense and maybe protect themselves in a way that makes sense?
I think we are going to put something out. I think we would love it if everybody wore a mask on the plane.
Okay.
Because that's when, even though the plane air is great, but that's when you don't know anybody's habits there. So on the plane getting here, we'll be outdoors. So I think we're going to be pretty safe. Hawaii had some of the lowest rates in the country, especially Kauai. We got locked down really early, and our mayor was great. So anybody that wants to wear a mask, great. That would be great. But I think you don't have to because we'll be outdoors.
Yeah. But good advice, certainly, when it comes to the plane. Obviously, if you're feeling sick before you go, don't go. It's got to be heartbreaking, right. But certainly don't want to get a bunch of people sick and ruin everybody's experience because you don't want to ruin everybody's experience.
And I had COVID. I went to Oregon when it was all over. We thought it was all over, and got COVID. And thank gosh, Reebok took me to the hospital. I got Paxlovid, but it was pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
So a lot of us wouldn't make it. I think literally wouldn't survive if we didn't get some help fast. So if we can protect each other, that would be great.
Yeah, no, it beat me up pretty good too. And I mean, I was vaccinated the whole 9 yards. So
me too. Yeah.
Little began
vax boosted and
yeah. Just make sure everybody out there that's listening, remember it's not always about you. It's about everybody around you. So just use some common sense. Reiterate, mask on the plane, right?
We'll have some test kits if anybody starts feeling funky.
Perfect.
And my brother, I think we've already put this out, but my brother, John, everybody who's been to Toddstock knows my brother, John, and Claudia, all my family, but Jonathan's a nurse. And we have a lot of medical people now at Toddstock. I mean, just all of us, all of we fans. There are quite a few medical people that have stepped up, said, I'll help John. I'll do this. I'll do this. And John's ICU nurse and ER nurse. Awesome. So kind of got it covered.
Very cool. Now, somebody asked about a group picture at a set time because it I guess the impression was, or maybe this happened, I don't know, because I've never been there for a group picture, but that sometimes a group picture is sort of just happens and then some people miss out on it. So will the group picture be part of the formal activities?
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that, but thank you for the person that asked that. Why don't we make it on a day where we know nobody will miss being there? How about let's take it right before Todd's show or right after. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
So that seems like that we'd all be there for Todd's show, and that's on the 23rd.
Yeah, and folks, if you go to Toddstock and you don't see the Todd show, what are you doing? that would be like the worst. You'd come. How was Toddstock? Oh, I missed the Todd show. Like, you what? Oh, goodness. Yeah, good call. There were some questions about shuttles. There was said for the campground and for the resort. So I assume there's people staying at a resort and not just the campground?
Yeah, there are a lot of people staying in Princeville. That's where that's super close to both are close to the venue. I'm still trying to get those shuttles because of COVID. Everybody needs workers here. So when I applied for it 3 months ago, I still have not heard back from the company. So every 10 days I send an email and the link to my application.
So in progress, we still got some weeks, and we'll be doing this every couple weeks too. So we'll keep asking that and following up on that.
Yeah.
This was an interesting one, and we're getting kind of near the end of it. A cooking demo. I know when you did the web-based shows that Todd did a cooking demo. Is that in the cards, or maybe something you'd think about adding that he'd be interested in doing?
I'll ask him. It'd be hard to fit all 400 of us in our house to watch a cooking demo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only way I think you'd be able to pull it off is if you did a lottery. Like if you figured out what the amount that you could have and then just did a lottery. But, the tough part there is the people that don't win. I mean, they I don't know. I don't like to lose.
I know, yeah.
But people lose, I don't know. It's just a thought, I guess.
I'll ask him, but yeah, well, I'll ask him.
Yeah, those were fun. Those were fun little segments in the in that web show. I caught every episode. I mean, do you think they'll ever come out in like either on YouTube or in a DVD form or anything?
You know what? That'd be great, because I worked really hard trying to make because Todd would just like, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. And I was like, well, where are you going to do it? And I don't know. And then he starts setting up at the last minute. So I'd race over there and set and decorate stuff the way I wanted it to look. And he said, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to make it look good. I'm your set decorator, He's like, but no, it's important to me that it looked like Hawaii.
Yeah, and they were great. I mean, even if you took the stuff and you made a best of compilation, I mean, there were some great moments. There was a lot of fan questions. I was able to ask some questions as well. And, there's some pretty funny stuff in there too. And, it's most of this stuff somehow shows up in some bootleg form somewhere, and maybe it does exist out there, but it'd be probably better if you had it in an official form. So maybe you can either benefit from the publicity or, whatever, but it'd be kind of cool to see it again. And then I guess the final thing before we get to the Prince story, I don't have a drum roll. I got a guitar in here, but there was a lot of people actually called me on the phone, and everybody that's reached out to me after the first episode, honestly, I was very touched. It was just beautiful. I love this fan community, and again, it really eases the fact that I can't go physically, but I do really feel like part of the community with this thing. So thank you everybody for that. And thank you, Michele, for doing these shows. The second one's just as fun as the first one. But so they're talking about the tribute for the fans that have passed away. And I know that there's been ideas kicked around or whatever. And I came up with one. I was going to try to present this as somebody else's idea, so it didn't sound so egotistical, but I'm going to plant the seed for everybody out there. So I just bought the new version of A Wizard of True Star. And if you could please tell Todd to stop putting out versions of Wizard of True Star, because I have like 9 of them right now, and I'm just do something else. But the anniversary of the Todd album is coming up. But in Wizard of True Star, they had the postcard. The postcard had the name, and then there was the poster of the names in the Todd album. And I that was a very important moment in fan history, and a lot of us fans came along afterwards. I don't know if it would be possible, but even if there was some kind of postcard that was similar, where you could either put a name of somebody that couldn't attend, or someone that has passed away, and integrate that into maybe an updated version of the Todd poster.
Yeah, flush that out for me a little bit. So, yeah.
See, now the good news is somebody's going to listen. We're going to get two types of people listening. Some of them are going to go, wow, that's a brilliant idea. And then there's other people who are going to figure out a way to tell me that it's not going to work. But either way.
No, not in this family.
Yeah.
If we have an idea, there's got to be a way to make it work.
Yeah, I know Bill Bricker's done some fan projects and stuff where he's done posters and drawings of people and that kind of stuff. But I mean, the other thing I had was like, if you made the postcards with like where you plant the wildflowers, so then it would be something that was a little bit more environmentally conscientious. And then if you planted them on the island, you literally have the presence of your loved ones or whoever you wanted to put on the postcard, which would be, I don't know.
That's kind of really cool. Great.
So there's some thoughts, but yeah, you got some time. But I know a lot of people have talked about doing something that tributes the fans that we have lost and the musicians and that kind of stuff. And again, do it in a way where it's a celebration of their life instead of, memorials can be they can be kind of a downer, let's be honest. So we want to make sure, I think it's something that you want it to be that celebration and just celebrating those people that did nice things for us,
Right. Well, the first thing I thought of, but I, of course, welcome, anybody that has great ideas, but I just thought maybe we could there's a kind of a little area in some bamboo over at the place we're going to be. And I just thought they would let us build something. So I just thought maybe there's a way to build big, huge bulletin boards that are kind of covered from the rain. And so we could put pictures and maybe little statements up, and see if I can find it here. This is hopefully I don't take up too much of your time, Tom.
Oh, no worries at all.
Something that meant, here it is. Good. Something that meant a lot to me. I hope I don't start to cry, but Murph made this for me.
Oh,
it's
Murph
called
Summers.
Wishes When You Want Them.
Wow.
And the cool thing is, she just said, whenever you feel down, just take one of these out. And they were all glued, sort of rolled together. And she just had affirmations written on them. My wish is that you take every opportunity to become who you want to be, inside and out.
Wow.
And they were just so cool. And she's been gone for a long time. I still occasionally pop one of these out and unroll them. And it's just something like that is pretty cool.
Yeah, Murph was a great lady. I met her at a Utopia Fest many years ago, and we stayed in touch. And her brother Chip picked me up at an airport for some shows if I'd go into Chicago, and I think he lived in Dallas. But yeah, no, it's so cool. It's just the people that have been brought together in terms of the music, and it's I don't know. Now I'm getting a little weepy.
I think I'll ask the place too if there's anything we can plant. That's
yeah. And again, that's a tough thing. I suppose wildflowers, but whatever. I mean, you got to respect people's property as well. You don't necessarily want to plant something on there without
they have 200 acres. Come on, they can share a little.
All right. Well, the heck with them then. We'll go ahead and do it.
Also, I should say we're not allowed to bring seeds to Kauai. It's kind of a pristine island, and so yeah, we're not allowed to bring seeds and some other thing. Can't remember what it is, but
I don't think nobody's bringing their pets, are they? I mean, that's probably that's no bueno.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah,
it costs almost $1,000 to get the blood test to Kansas City and make sure the rabies thing is done. And it's it's a nightmare to bring a dog here.
All right. Well, it's that time. It's time for the Prince story. Now you've told the story before on the Michele Rundgren podcast. And it's a great story. So if people haven't heard it,
hopefully I remember it right. So actually, just in Forbes magazine, there's a little thing about the Tubes. I think it was our 40th anniversary for. Was it Outside Inside?
Yep, that's the one.
And Martha from the Motels, Martha Davis, sang a duet with Fee on that record. it came time for us to put out Monkey Time as a single. And Martha said, no, you can't use my voice. Can't use that because I'm putting out a record and it would, conflict with my version. So Fee just said, hey, why don't you come in and sing it? And so Fee and I went with David Foster and just overdubbed my voice, took Martha's off, and I tried to sound like her because it was a great version. So they asked me to sound like her. We took a break during that recording session because David was always working on 7,000 things at once, David Foster. So I went outside it's Sound on Sunset. It has several studios. I went outside into the courtyard and there's this guy dressed in purple flamboyant jacket and flamboyant pants and very cool high-heeled boots. I was barefoot. And so I watched him play basketball for a little bit, and his big, huge bodyguard was there. Looked a lot like you, Tom.
Really?
Yeah. And so Prince stopped playing and walked over to me and stood this close. And I swear I was taller. And I remember I'm barefoot. He's in boots. And the bodyguard stood right here and said, Prince would like to ask you what your name is. And I told him, Prince would like to ask you what are you doing here? And I told him I'm recording over there. And Prince took off his jacket and put it on the ground. And it was just like super close and giving me like the, bedroom eyes. But basically his bodyguard did all the talking. And then I said, okay, guys, I gotta go back to work. And he said, Prince has to go back to work too. So they went into their studio, and Prince left his jacket right there. And I thought, he wants me to bring that in there, doesn't he? But instead, I put it on. I wore it for the last half of my session. And I felt pretty cool wearing Prince's jacket in Sound on Sunset in the recording studio. And then they called our studio, and we were done, said, have you seen Prince's jacket? And I said, yeah. Dave Foster, yeah, she's wearing it. And then they said, would you send the young lady over to the studio? And so I go, oh, but I had already met Todd. It was very early, very, very early in our relationship. And so I took the jacket, and instead of going in to hang out with Prince, I just put it on their studio door. And so Todd always teases me, you could have been Apollonia.
Oh my God. It's funny. Like it reminds me of that Chappelle show where there's an episode where Prince is like playing basketball, and I think it was
with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. And it was like, they said something about, let's have pancakes or something really weird, like overnight, but he just seemed like such an odd character. So all of it just seems very, just, I don't know. That's gotta be pretty cool. And it's funny. I asked Todd, like, if he ever met Prince, cause they were on Saturday Night Live on the same episode, and he never did, which is incredible. Of the two of you, you would think he did, but you're the one that did.
Well, maybe he didn't want to be alone with Prince and his tidy whities.
Yeah. Or,
I guess that's what Prince wore for his set, was his white underwear or something like that.
Wow. Now that I didn't know about. I would have expected purple underwear or something like that.
Yeah. No, that's the jacket I was wearing was purple. Yeah, it was definitely purple.
That is fantastic. All right. Well, we covered a lot of ground today. This was a lot of fun. So we'll reconvene in a couple of weeks. And everybody out there who gave questions, again, I tried to kind of, combine a lot of things and hit some of the same themes. So by all means, if there's more questions, we'll come up with more answers. But yeah, a couple things I think that came up today even may result in some things being added to Toddstock.
Yeah. And remember, I'll sing the wrong words. Be nice to, is it Tom? Shoot. Is it?
Be nice to me, won't you?
Tom.
Yeah, be nice to both of us, for God's sake. That's all we ask. Oh, special.
And yeah, I've got some homework too. Cool.
Little homework and special thanks to my puppy Chasm, who's just been sitting here the whole time, just absolutely
Good
adorable.
boy.
He's been a good boy.
Good boy, Kaz. Good boy, Kaz. I've said that
You're going to get a treat. He used to, he's definitely been a guest on many of my podcast episodes. It's sort of a running joke at this point. But all right. So everybody out there, thanks for listening. My email's in the show notes, and we'll also have stuff in the group, and I think there's a registered attendee group, which I'm not part of, but I don't need to be part of that. But just, you guys know where to find me, so you can get me some questions, and then I'll come up with another. So we got the Foamy story coming at Toddstock. We heard about Prince today. We found out about the wedding proposal. I got to come up with some kind of fascinating thing to tease for next episode. Do you have a crazy story you want to tease?
I'll think of one by then. But all right. Yeah, off the top, my whole life's just been fun and funny and silly, and so I'll think of something.
How about this one? I'll throw this out to you. Now, I met Vince Welnick many times, and he was just a sweet guy. I'd love a Vince Welnick story, maybe something that you can share, so we can, we'll close with that one next time. Because to me, he was always a very fascinating character, and one of my dream projects was, to do a Vince Welnick story, like a podcast and everything like that, just because it was just, the whole thing was very fat. There was a audio recording of him and Todd talking in the studio once, where he was trying to determine if he was going to go back to the Tubes, and I think in the conversation was interesting in retrospect when he had to make that decision to go with the Grateful Dead. So there was just, I don't know, kind of a lot there. But
yeah, we actually recommended him. They called us to see how he was to work with, and I was like, oh man, I don't want you to hire him, but you should hire him.
Yeah. Hello, we're calling for reference for Vince Welnick. Did he show up on time? Was he, It's kind of weird.
I have a feeling that those guys, they want to make sure that a guy's going to show up. And the Tubes, I shouldn't tell a story now, but really quick, we had such a reputation for like trashing rooms and stuff, which really didn't happen. But I guess because of our antics on stage, people thought we were, this wild punk band instead of a rock band. But so I think that's why they called to see if Vince was could get to the gig and sober. And yeah, he's even not sober, he wouldn't miss a gig.
Yeah, those were tough shoes to fill too. But so we'll save some Vince Welnick story for the end of the next episode. So, all right, everybody. Until next time, this is the Toddstock 75 podcast with, of course, Michele Rundgren and myself, Thom Jennings, and Chasm the dog, not Chasm the bass player. We'll see you next time.
Aloha.